today. Thank you, Travel Days team, for inviting me to come and speak to you a little bit about our sustainable journey with SLH and following up with this entertaining presentation. I would like to introduce a little bit about our brand. If you have not heard of Small Luxury Hotels of the World, who we are. We've been around for about 33 years. We are small. Most of our hotels are normally more than 50 rooms globally. We are in the luxury space. We have about 570 luxury lifestyle hotels, and we are dealing with 90 over countries in the world, so we are part of a global chain. Most of our hotels are privately owned, and most of them also are in the same family for many generations, so they're very much a personal project when we deal with a lot of our owners. And you will see through some of the things I'm going to talk about later today that they're very attached to the community, and I think the other previous panels have discussions have already talked about communities, very much to the local community, very much showcasing their culture at the place that they operate. So one of the things that we as SLH, as a brand, promise that we thrive on conscious travel. We also want to make sure that there is a sustainable future in the space of travel, where people are able to explore the world. You know, as now that we are coming out of a pandemic, a lot of people are now traveling with a purpose, with an intention. So we want to make sure that we protect their integrity when they travel and make those travel choices. So when we were, in the pandemic, everyone was staying couch surfing at home. Our marketing team reached out to our guests and our loyalty program members and went out with a little survey and tried to get a sort of a sentiment on where people are thinking or inspiring them about travel so that they get entertained at home. And I think the numbers are quite similar to what John showed you yesterday. A lot of people are now starting to think about sustainability, looking for information about sustainability. But the bad thing about what we do is people are actually very wary about the information that we actually publish. So we want to make sure that we are not publishing things that we are not doing or greenwashing, like we talked about those buzzwords yesterday. So we want to make sure that we do it in the right way. So we don't declare ourselves like expert in this area. We want to make sure that we work with the right people, right partners in the space. So one of the persons that we actually work with right now is none other than a fellow journalist, Julia Kingsman, who is actually the author also of the Green Added Travel. And she's advising us in this space on how we can communicate this information to the audiences. One of the things I think very important to note that sustainable travel doesn't mean that do not travel, stay at home, because that's going to kill all of us. So basically what we're trying to say is sustainable tourism has a value if we take a little bit of consciousness and consideration when we make our travel decisions. Another area that we also looked at is how can we make ourselves a little bit more credible in the sense of working with a nonprofit organization like GSTC. You might see this organization pop up in the media. The organization is set up by the UN, and this has got standards and criteria for the hospitality industry. I think they're now stretched over to cruises, to airlines, to destination marketing. So they are becoming the kind of unofficial global standards. A lot of us are following. So what we have done with them is work with them on the criteria to assess all our properties to make sure that we are abiding with the sustainable tourism guideline. And so with that, SLH now is an active member of the GSTC. We have gone through the assessment and gone through that. And in 2 years ago, 2002, October, we launched this collection that we call Consider It Collection. At that time, we only had about 26 hotels when we started because it takes a while for us to assess each property. We want to make sure everyone follows the criteria rather than just say, hey, I don't do plastic anymore. I just do a recycling bin. But it's actually a lot more involved in certifying or assessing these properties. Right now, as of today, if you go to our website, we have now grown the group to about 59 hotels. So we're slowly growing the group, and hopefully the 500 hotels will qualify for the sustainable tourism sort of criteria. So what are some of these criteria that we looked at? I think it's quite similar again to what we were talking about in the previous panels, were things like environmental consciousness. So like right now we are partnering with the Tree Nations. So we again giving back to community. So whenever you book a room, we actually donate the proceeds to it. So right now we actually have about 21,000 trees in this little small luxury hotel forest in Tanzania. Cultural custodian as well. As I mentioned, all our members are very much attached to the cultural part of it and also the community. So again, this is the area that we want to amplify again, is how can we work with the community like we talked about in yesterday's panel. Is we are not putting up a cultural show to entertain the guests. We are helping getting the community involved so that they invite the guests into their community. So that's what we're trying to do. And again, community-minded, because they're local providers, local owners, they're hiring locals, they're doing the local wages. They're also giving back to community, like this hotel in Brazil that's setting up a school, a surfing school for kids, so that the guests can actually interact with the kids when they go surfing. So this, like what John was saying, we don't really do a good job in communicating some of these things through our communication. So what we did is actually we hopped on, it's not a very carbon-friendly thing, but we hopped on the plane and went to the different destinations and actually talked to, interview all our owners and get a first-hand interview. And so this is a little clip that I put together, but there you can get it from our website.
Sustainability can be done anywhere, everywhere, even in cities. If we can do it in Venice, you can do it everywhere else in the world.
We're a small 12-room lodge in a remote Himalayan valley. Our voices will get drowned out. Combining with like-minded people enables that message to be amplified.
What we try to do is bring inner sustainability. And the soul needs beauty, culture, nature, it needs all, it needs balance. So if you see it in that concept, then the hospitality could have a huge role in the future.
Right, so that's just a very short clip of the whole, we kind of do it a little docu-film. So it's available on slh.com, or you can go to YouTube if you want to take a look at the video. And also there are also I think there are about 4 different videos that we did more in-depth interviews with each of the owners on what they're doing on property. So again, hopefully you get more inspiration from there. Like I mentioned, we are very much a people-centric company. Our hotels are, we work very closely with the owners, and we want to make sure that this comes across by having first-hand experiences being told by the owners, rather than us coming up with marketing languages, and marketing collaterals to try to sell you, to tell you about sustainability. So this one area that we are addressing, and hopefully there will be more and more communication and more information that we will share with you over time. We're also looking at reports and sending out reports on things that we are able to measure to make sure that we are telling you what we are doing and the results of that as well. So that we establish that we are in a way of doing sustainable travel. Another area that we are looking at right now that we want to look at in more depth, and some people have coined it as the last major untapped market. And that's actually an area that we actually very, very much concerned, and a lot of emphasis has put on it, but actually very little focus has been put on this market segment. And this has actually been coming up as a very fast and growing segment that we actually, as you can see from these numbers, it's not really a niche market, it's not a small market, but actually we actually have not paid that much attention in terms of promoting it. And actually, when we looked at it and further and working with the experts in this area, we are actually looking into people that, by 2030, there's actually 1 in 6 people in the world that's going to be over the age of 60 that has, I'm not saying, please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all people are disabled, but what I'm saying is accessibility is something that we should be looking into. This is something that we are encouraging our hotels to take a little bit of emphasis on looking into that. And accessibility should be the center of tourism policies and business strategies, as in we are catering to anyone from a baby to a senior citizen walking through our door, that we should be making our property accessible to everyone in this case. And it should be for all of us. We are working with an organization called Include Care, if you've not heard of them. Richard Thompson is the founder of Include Care. Why luxury? I think he started off with our segment is because luxury is the closest to personalized service, and also we are small. We're able to cater to our guests in a much more personalized way. So I think that's where we can able to come up with initiatives that are much, accommodating to this segment. I think one analogy that he always used in his presentation, I'm going to steal it from him. Accessibility is just an invitation to a dance. Okay? Inclusivity is asking the person to dance. I mean, how powerful is that if that person is able to experience not just sitting there as a wallflower at the dance, but actually participating in the whole experience. So it turns the whole dynamics of the whole travel experience for the guests. Here's Sophie. I'm going to introduce you to her. She's in Maldives. So, I mean, how powerful is that? I mean, you wouldn't think of an independent traveler like Sophie could able to go to the Maldives by herself, but by making little adjustments throughout the resort, she's able to be participating in activities, she's able to navigate herself throughout the room, gives her so much freedom and a sort of, confidence to the traveler that they can travel by themselves, not, have to be relying on a caretaker on a vacation. So those are things that we are looking at, and of course there are costs involved in this area. Amelia, one of our hotels in the Maldives, actually spent a little bit of investment in making the rooms more accessible, but then the returns are huge. I mean, if you really, really work and focus on this segment. And I think the other part of it, of course, besides the monetary rewards of it, is the emotional part of it. I mean, the appreciation from our guests, the families that bring along these guests that we have, that they never thought that their family members can be part of the whole travel experience. From a wheelchair to even people with autism, those things that we actually train the staff. And that's another level when we train our staff to be more attentive and be more aware of this accessibility area. It also upgrades the whole cultural shift in terms of thinking, in terms of human resources within the organization. Like this hotel in Italy, it's not just the front of house where the guest is, but the back of house as well, because once you get the people sort of familiar and also trained in a way that now you can actually work with people with a little bit of a disability and make it much more powerful as an organization. And I think we are also doing that from a brand perspective. Now we're making changes to our website to make it so that it's visually impaired people are able to view our website as well online. So I mean, these are small changes, but I think, again, will make big differences along the way. So as small businesses, you are thinking like us, making a sustainability journey, a sustainability plan moving forward. These are some of the things that I'll recommend that you take a look at. Doesn't mean that you're small, it doesn't matter. We all make a difference. So we want to make sure that sustainable travel is much more than being green. It's much more about interaction of every touch point that we are in. So wherever you travel, wherever you eat, who you go with, all makes a difference. So every small conscious travel does make a big difference. So size does matter. So with that, thank you very much for your time.